Mount Rushmore National Memorial. Iconic, magnificent, controversial. Set in the Black Hills of South Dakota, Mount Rushmore National Memorial is one of the top attractions in the state. Every year, more than 2 million people flock to this mountainous region to gaze at the granite heads of 4 American presidents. Looking down at the crowds from a height of nearly 60 feet, the immortalized faces of Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Theodore Roosevelt symbolize the ideas of freedom and equality, and are considered national treasures. The urgency of building something grand, something that would bring even more tourists to the South Dakota mountains that were already getting popularity among road trippers, brought sculptor Borglum on board. Borglum was famous for his works depicting important figures and events of US history. He suggested that the sculpture depict presidents that had played a crucial role in the country's expansion. The work on the mountain started on October 4, 1927, amid a legal battle in which the Lakota people sued the US government for theft. Before it became known as Mount Rushmore, the area had been a sacred place for the local Native American communities for centuries. The mountain itself proved to be hard to work on, forcing the sculptor to change the design of Mount Rushmore National Memorial. Initially, Borglum intended to carve the presidents to their waists. At the very right, where the head of Lincoln towers now, the sculptor planned to include an 80 by 100 foot inscription called the entablature. Restricted by time, funds, and vulnerability of the mountain, Borglum later shortened the sculpture, so only the heads of the presidents were carved into Mount Rushmore. Not having space for the entablature on the front end of Mount Rushmore, Borglum began blasting a 70-foot tunnel behind the granite faces. The Hall of Records, as he called it, would have contained historical artifacts and eventually the original Declaration of Independence. With looming war in Europe and uncertainty about funding, the US government pressed Borglum to finish the faces first. The sculptor was still working on the heads when his health declined. Borglum died in March 1941, leaving his son Lincoln to complete the project. Mount Rushmore National Memorial was officially finished on October 31, 1941. The unfinished tunnel stayed empty. In 1998, the National Park Service placed a titanium vault in the floor and filled it with historical documents. The secret chamber behind Lincoln's head is not really a secret now, but it's close to the public. The closest you can get to the world-famous heads of Mount Rushmore National Memorial is via the Presidential Trail. The trail starts near the Grand View Terrace past the Avenue of Flags. It makes a loop in front of the mounting sculpture, presenting different views of the granite heads. En route back to the terrace, the trail passes by Sculptor's studio with the new Mount Rushmore bookstore.
Take the ink. There's ink. Voila. Maybe right here. Right here. Okay, perfect.
The trail can be easy or moderate depending on where you start. If you begin your hike along the raised boardwalk to the right of the Granite View Terrace, you end up climbing lots of stairs. Walk in the opposite direction and the stairs descend more often than ascend.